According to the clock on the wall, it's 7 o'clock, and I'll call this meeting to order. It's the Breezy Point City Council for Monday, January 6, 2020. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody. The next item that we're going to be going through is the presentation of the 2020 Comprehensive Plan adoption per Resolution 01-2020. This has been accumulation of quite a while and a lot of work that has gone into it. And so the presentation that you see here has been reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it is presented to us for final adoption. And so at this point, I will turn it over to Jake Hipsch, and he will...
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, here we are. This process kind of began back in spring, summer of 2018. We kind of went through, probably, how many steering committee meetings did we get here? Did you get here so many? Tom mentioned there's a lot of public input and engagement that we've had through this. We have a short presentation, about 12 slides. We're going to show a community video. And the action from the council tonight would be to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan. Can we go to the next slide, Patrick? So the process began back in 2018. The city had approached Sourcewell to do an update to their comprehensive plan. The previous comprehensive plan from the city was adopted in 2016. Through this process, we went through a large public engagement, received a lot of public input throughout the process. We met with the steering committee, we had business owners. Ashley's going to dive in a little bit deeper, but we're very confident that this really represents kind of the voice of the community of what we heard. In the plan is goals, policies, strategies that are influenced by what we heard throughout the planning process. And this is the vision, again, that we heard that for the city of Breezy Point. Next slide. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this slide here. It's a little busy, but just kind of a recap of where we were before 3-4 months ago, where we are today, and kind of what the next steps are. Kind of that first bullet point under October, what you see is chapter review block text. What that really means is we took a lot of the content and sent that over to everyone, the council, planning commission, the steering committee, the city. We really think about that kind of like a wide paintbrush. We got a lot of corrections, edits, recommendations. We took that text and we put that in more of kind of the graphic update of the plan. So we put the pictures, the graphs, and then we presented that back to the planning commission, who released that for public comment. Throughout that entire process of October, November, December, and January, you'll see that one of the bottom bullet points is document refinement. We continuously make improvements to the document based on, again, whether it's public comment, whether it's city staff comment, whether it's comments from the planning commission or other members of the public. So as this timeline has progressed, we've continuously refined that document where we're starting to paint now with that fine tip brush. We do know we did receive a few comments here actually today. We're going to call those, we can address those from Council Member Maroney. We do have we're going to call those administrative edits. There will probably be a few other administrative type edits that we would recommend to approve based on, not hold up the process, but continue approval of the document with the understanding there's going to be a few minor administrative edits. We don't feel that those really take away from the content. Again, just more of that document refinement. We did hold a public hearing in November, or the Planning Commission held a public hearing in November. We did receive public comment on a few topics, as well as comments that the Planning Commission had. There's in your packet, should be a memo that was titled December 26th, 2019, highlights what we heard at the Planning Commission and how we addressed the comments from that meeting. Which brings us here tonight. So again, the council is going to consider the plan for adoption. Again, we do know that there are going to be a few administrative edits, and then the last item on there is the closeout process. That's where actually we take the document, send that out to the printers, we get them professionally printed, as well as gather all the electronic files for the city and turn those back over to the city. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we were and kind of what the next month looks like. Next slide, please. Kind of highlighted this, but just summary, kind of talks about a little bit of the edits that we did. We did add some language to the maps, some of the demographics. We updated based on comments, a little bit of definition regarding what do we change? No, it actually was we added some language for housing, affordable housing, thank you. We added some dates to maps. That was a request of when we actually pulled the data from the maps. So again, just the high level, but the memo does go a little bit more in depth of what we heard. Next slide, please. Community video. I'm assuming most people in the room have seen the community video. We're going to be watching it here very shortly. Part of the process, what we did is we had our photographer and videographer capture Breezy Point. The qualities, the assets, some of the testimonies from people of the community. Super happy with this video. And if you want to, you have it, Patrick? If we want, we're going to play this, and then we'll go from there.
Breezy Point is one of a kind. It's right in the heart of Minnesota, but at the same time, we're so based around tourism. So many people don't even know that we're a city. We have been vacationing up here for quite a few years, and we just really like the area. We moved up here in 2007, and we never looked back.
Breezy Point's just an awesome place to be. I mean, it's so much fun. There's always something going on here.
We have a private airstrip that's 3,250 feet long. We do aviation days for the youth. It's called Young Eagles. We give them their first flight. It's free.
We have released 200 butterflies. It started around 15 years ago. They were looking for something to bring attention to the cemetery, and they won't be around the cemetery for days, or you might find them in your yard.
We decided that we wanted to live somewhere with a really good school, with a smaller community, so that when my kids were in school, they could really get to know all of their kids in their class.
So I'm a 4th grade teacher. I kind of coordinate and oversee our school nature center, which we're standing in right now.
And I like to find cool insects and discover more things in the wilderness.
There's like a balloon that hasn't been opened. So when you open it, there's another one inside. We call it the never ending plant, because you come to the end of it.
We moved to Breezy Point because of my work, and I'm the superintendent of the school district, a fabulous school district. When we chose Breezy Point because we found a place we love, I can live a rural lifestyle and still be very professional and engage in a very active community.
When I travel around the country, and oftentimes around the world, when the name Breezy Point comes up, people know the name.
Yeah, from Jamaica, originally from Jamaica, Jamaican. Few of my friends that I chose to, take a trip here was so beautiful. Just like we see it on the photos, in the pictures, that was actually what it was like when we got here.
Breezy Point it has 3 golf courses. That's pretty unique for one small community. It's very special to have an Arnold Palmer design golf course. You can go from
lakeshore recreational to basically living in the woods when you get away from the lake.
Don't forget that there's a few little hidden jewels in Breezy Point, like the Frisbee Golf course that we have right in the heart of Breezy.
You know, I live 23 miles away, but it's definitely worth it. I come up, we've been up here every week in the spring and summer and fall for the last 2 years.
I love this golfing every day.
You can't beat this like hilly 18-hole they have out here. Breezy Point's just an awesome place to be. Having the North Stars here, it's a lot of fun for us. We get to do a lot of stuff in the community, and when you go to the ice rink, you can do a lot of stuff.
I skate with the Breezy Point Figure Skating Club. I've skated for 6 years, so I've just gotten more into it. I just love the community, I love the people.
Golf, water, entertainment, dining, friends, family, fellowship. It's all here in Breezy Point.
It's just a great place.
So obviously there's much more in Breezy Point, but that 3.5 minutes definitely captures a lot of heartfelt, that kind of that warm, fuzzy feeling, and definitely highlights a lot of the assets in the community. Prior to this meeting, I gave Deb a flash drive that contains all of the pictures throughout the entire process that the photographers took, and they took a lot of amazing pictures that hopefully can be used, as well as the file for that video. And I gave her a little crash course on how to upload it directly to Facebook. So when you're scrolling on Facebook, it'll show, and that way you won't have to click into YouTube, and you'll see your viewers, the viewership and likes increase dramatically when you have it directly embedded in there. So look for that in the next day or two. I'm actually going to turn it over to Ashley to just walk through a little more of the process and a little more of the document.
Jake and I just love showing those videos. I think sometimes we forget that comprehensive planning very much is a marathon process and it's not a sprint project. And the video is a great way to elevate the comprehensive plan in itself. Not only can you market town with your video, but you can also relate that back to your comprehensive plan and really keep it living. So I want to speak to you just a little bit about the process. Like Jake had said, we started this process late spring, early summer of 2018. We divided the project into 3 big phases or buckets. Step 1, we really dug into some of the data. We used local sources, state sources, national sources. We leveraged the Crow Wing County Housing Study. We leveraged Minnesota Demographers data. We also leveraged the U.S. Census. And during this time, we also did some extensive community engagement. The second big grouping of the project was we developed some goals and strategies. Many of you were on the steering committee itself, and you know the process that you went through. We built on the goals and strategies in your existing plan. We sliced and diced, we added, we divided, we subtracted. A lot of time went into creating the statements to make sure that they were appropriately scaled for the future of Breezy Point. And then the final grouping of tasks was at plan refinement and adoption. Jake brought up back in October is really when we started that plan making process. A lot of that work was done behind the scenes where we passed around the document to not only the committees in town, but also the steering committee, planning commission. It was a great reflection of teamwork, and I hope you see all that work in the document in front of you. I do want to lift up the steering committee. They did a ton of heavy lifting. It was a joy to work with them. We're all proud of how you've grown in your leadership roles. This document is what it is because of your help. Go to the next. I hope people in this room and those of you on the council as well were able to participate in some of the input opportunities that we had over the course of the last year and a half. There were hundreds of lines of inputs and comments and feedback and guidance that we received from folks throughout the community. It was a joy to read it all. There were a total of 8 steering committee meetings. We held 1 community-wide survey. We gathered 315 complete survey responses, which we were really proud of that outcome. We held 1 community open house. That was the open skate night. We also held 4 focus group discussions. with the business community, roads committee, parks committee, and the planning and zoning board. We also held a series of pop-up events, the butterfly release as well as airplane days. Tom, Mr. Mayor, did I get that right? Airplane days?
Aviation days.
Aviation days, sorry everyone, aviation days. And then we held a public hearing at the December Planning Commission meeting. So Jake and I are really confident that we heard what the community had to say, and we listened to what their vision is for the future. This list really shows the depth of community engagement and public involvement. If you go to the next, Patrick. So all of this input led to a set of collective outcomes. It really can be boiled down to a maintained and an improved bucket. Folks would like to maintain the following: protect natural resources and scenery, their sense of community, the recreation opportunities that exist in town, water quality in the safe neighborhoods. And then folks would like to see the following set of attributes improve over the course of this long-range plan: year-round employment opportunities, business expansion and retention opportunities, retail options, motorized and non-motorized trail networks, road maintenance, and then community identity. The fun evaluation element of your 2016 plan is we were able to really expand in some of the offerings that your plan has to be a little bit more robust. You'll see your chapter list, introduction, chapter 1, all the way down to chapter 11, implementation. 2016, you had 4 core focus areas: your land use, water quality, road system, and parking, trail, and open space sections. And we were able to expand on some of those. So for an example, your land use and community design chapter, we added some more layers. You have land use, you have a housing chapter, you have an infrastructure chapter. Your water quality protection plan in your 16 plan is now called your natural resources chapter. Your road system plan is now called your transportation plan. It's a little bit more robust. We included some motorized and non-motorized trail opportunities within. Your parks, trails, and open space hasn't really changed that much. And then there's 3 fun new chapters: community services and facilities, community character, and then economic development. Chapter 11, your implementation chapter, really is that action plan. That's your toolkit to help you make decisions over the next 15 years. So we hope that you really find value in that chapter. Go to the next. In terms of the document itself, we really take an approach on making sure that the document jumps off of the page and providing various methods to get your plan out there. We've created a flip book, so it's just a link that we'll have you put on the website again. But if you have a Kindle, it's kind of similar to just reading a book online, and it has kind of like that fun swipe noise, and it's just a little bit more illustrative than downloading the PDF online for users. It can be a little bit cumbersome. But we really want to encourage you that this comprehensive plan very much is a workbook, and it's a tool for you. We hope that you feel encouraged to make markings and circle and highlight, take notes, cross things off. When you've accomplished something, celebrate that. If you're a checker, check it off. If you're a strike through, strike it off. It's really meant to help you problem solve. And plans are most successful when they're consistently referenced and used. This flip book is an opportunity to keep it moving and live. Same with the community video. So the hope is in a year from now when we come back, we see some tattered edges of your comprehensive plan. You may have spilled your coffee, that's okay. Jelly donuts. Nonetheless, your plan should be a reflection of how often you use it in your role. So with that, our Sourceville team will come back in a year from now to see how you're doing, if you need any assistance. Take this next year to really try on the plan and get used to the goal, strategies, and action items within it. And with that, we're complete with our presentation. The Planning Commission did make a recommendation for approval, as Mr. Mayor mentioned. Tonight, you'll be making a motion to adopt the plan itself. Jake and I will answer any questions if you have about the document. Otherwise, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so at this time, council members, do you have any questions for either Jake or Ashley? Mr. Bakken, I'll start with you.
No, sir. The film. That's a 10. Superb. Really good.
We'll pass that along to our video.
Please do.
Rebecca, anything?
No, thank you. Great job.
Gary?
No, I just want to compliment all those that were involved. It was a ton of work and looks like they did a really, really nice job.
Michael?
I have nothing further.
So at this point, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 01-2020, which is to adopt the 2020 Comprehensive Plan.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Either one. Further discussion? Anybody? All those in favor of adopting the 2020 Comprehensive Plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Comprehensive Plan is adopted. Thank you very much. It's been a long road.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with this plan. I think, and the first thing I want to say is the comprehensive plan is not a pretty print document that's going to sit on the shelf and be a thing that you give to people and for them to just look at and appreciate. This is an actual working document. It's a higher level document that basically is our guideline for how we run the city for the next several years. It's a document that is meant to be looked at and followed and changed whenever necessary. It's not the type of thing, like I say, it's not to sit on the shelf and gather dust. So this is going to be, the working document is going to be owned by planning and zoning, and they will be the ones responsible for maintaining that document current and implementing all of those items that are recommended in there in the implementation plan. Right, Jerry? So, well, thank you very, very much. We really appreciate the hard work that has gone into this. Our next item of business is the consent agenda. We have 5 things on the consent agenda. We have the council minutes from December 2nd, 2019. We have the approval of claims totaling $291,701.37, which is electronic checks 2450E and electronic checks 246E through 2466E, and paper checks 135666 through 135697 and 135699 and 135733. And we also have resolution 02-2020, which I'm going to be pulling off because we have an additional donation that I will handle and talk about under the mayor report. So item C will be stricken from the consent agenda and talked about later. We have the election judges' salaries for 2020. We have 3 elections this year, and this identifies what the election judges will be getting. And then we are going to be formally establishing the Citizen of the Year Committee under Resolution 04-2020. Is there anything that you would like additionally taken off the consent agenda and addressed separately? Michael, I'll start with you.
No.
Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that would want anything off the consent agenda and discuss separately? Hearing nothing, the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the resolutions 03-2020 and 04-2020.
Also moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved, and we'll get to item C later. Next item is the open forum, and anybody wishing to bring anything before the city council may do so at this time. And please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you can speak to the council. Anybody coming forward? Nobody appearing. I will close the open forum. And that brings us to the mayor and city council reports. We do have the organizational, being this is the first of the year, we have the organizational resolution, which makes all the appointments and identifies all of the various people that are going to be sitting on the committees and the commissions. The one thing, there's two things I'd like to highlight is we have included in the resolution the hours for the summer months of June, July, and August, which is a kind of a different way. We did this last year and it seemed to work out, so we are going to be basically authorizing this as part of this resolution. And also, I'd like to highlight the in the Planning Commission, we had two members that were that wished to retire from the Planning Commission, Larry Deere and Peggy Schmidt, and we are going to be appointing two new members, Mark Miller, who is here tonight, and Marcy Weaver. They will be sworn in on the 14th, the first meeting of Planning and Zoning. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 05-2020, making the appointments for the for calendar year 2020.
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Gary?
None.
Rebecca?
I don't have any.
Gary?
No.
Michael?
I do wish we would stick to our 7s, but I understand it's a losing battle for me. I just hope it doesn't interfere with engagements that I have during the summer. So.
Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 05-2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution 05-2020 is approved. It's hard to say this 2020 for some reason.
Yes.
Barbara Walter said it all the time.
Next item for the that I have is on.
Are you going back to the donations?
Yes. Going back to, it's for Resolution 02-2020. We have, you have, as a handout, we received an additional donation of $100 to the police department. Resolution 02-2020 itemizes and recognizes the donations that we have had during the latter part of the year. $172.50 from the Pelican Lake Conservation Club for wreaths to be laid and installed on the graves over at the Pelican Lake Cemetery. And then we have a $10,000 donation from the Fletcher Foundation for the cemetery or for other council uses. And then we have a donation from Nick and Joanne Anderson for $100 donation to the police department. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 02-2020.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Comments? Gary?
With a thank you. That's it.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
Rebecca?
I don't know.
Gary?
No.
Yes.
Nothing further?
All those in favor of Resolution 02-2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The resolution is adopted. Next item is I did attend the Crow Wing County public hearing on the VRBO ordinance that they have currently under consideration. And the public hearing took almost 3 hours. They had a lot of comments and a lot of discussion on it. It was very interesting. most people were in favor of the resolution. However, there was a significant number of VRBO owners that were against it. And the net result was they are going to be tabling it until January 28th. January 28th, 28th or 24th? The last week in January for continuation of the hearing. And in the meantime, they are going to be working on some of the language within the ordinance. I would encourage you to contact Bill Brecken, who would be our representative from Region 2 of the county, to voice your opinion, because there's a lot to be said on both sides of the issue. So I did speak and iterate that the city of Breezy Point is in favor of the ordinance, in that it helps to level the playing field between the interests of the resort and the interests of the VRBO owners. Last item I wanted to mention is something that has been going on, well, actually was incorporated, had to do with the elimination of the recycling funds from the county that were being passed through to the garbage haulers. And we just got our garbage bill, and sure enough, as expected, the rates are going up because of the elimination of those SCORE funds. Again, it's another thing that contact the county and voice your displeasure. I've voiced it to Bill Brecken a couple times, and but that's life in the big city. That's nothing we can do about it at this point. And that's all I have. Committee reports. Personnel committee. Michael, Rebecca, do you want to talk about the revised personnel policy?
Yeah, just some language cleanup that we felt needed to be addressed. Within the personnel policy, we distinguish that if an employee opts out of our insurance medical program, they received a $360 per month as an alternate. In our language, we designated that they had to go to deferred compensation. That is no longer the case. So what you have in front of you is language to remove that portion out of it. They'll still receive the $360. That's still going to be there. It's just not stating that they have to do anything specific with it. It is technically income then to them.
Okay.
Or is it? Yes, income. So.
Okay. So you have the modified policy. I will entertain a motion to adopt the revised language of the personnel policy.
So I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Gary, I'll start with you.
No, sir.
Rebecca, anything?
No.
Gary?
No.
Michael, anything more? Okay, all those in favor of adopting the revised policy for the opt-out language, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The policy is approved. Another personnel action, the revision of the finance specialist job description. Michael, you want to talk to that one?
Yeah, I can talk with this. We worked with Patrick on this, on reclassifying our finance specialist job description, adding some bullet points, having some more responsibility. In doing so, this did have a grade change in the pay scale. And we ran this through DDA, which is the firm that we hired to relook at all of our job classifications over the last couple of years here now. And they have approved as well on this reclassification, adding this workload and responsibilities to the job description.
Okay.
So you have in front of you a reformatted job description of our finance specialists, moving up a grade.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the new job description for the financial specialist.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Pick one. Okay. Further discussion? Gary?
None.
Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
None.
Michael?
None.
All those in favor of the revised job description for the financial specialist, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved. Next item is the pay equity report. It's not included in your handout, but it is on the table. It was a handout. This is something that we do every year, or at least I think, is it every year or every other year?
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years. And it is a little bit difficult to understand because we have such a relatively small staff. Michael or Rebecca, do you want to talk to this, or should Patrick?
I'll let Patrick speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me first apologize because it wasn't included in your packet, but I didn't realize till about last Tuesday that it wasn't, or that we had a timeline coming up. I talked to the state. It was actually sent to Joe Rudberg, who hasn't received emails here for a couple of years. It got blocked with filters, whatever. So I finally got the information password from the state on Thursday late, and so I finished it this morning. And we do comply as I perceive it, included in your information. There's a variety of ways. You've got the information, but the second page goes through the report itself, and there is a statistical analysis test. Most of the smaller communities don't do the underpayment ratio. They meet with the t-test, and specifically our t-value of a negative 0.139 is well below what is required in that situation. Then you've got the information in general about each position, their high and low for the salary range, the years to max, and then also the years of service, the exceptional pay that Breezy Point has. The fourth page, or the second to the last, has the bar chart in it, not the bar chart. It has the chart in it, and it's a projected pay chart is what that's identified as. And if we were out of compliance, you would see triangles and squares and diamonds on either side of that chart, but you can see that we're relatively close there, that being that we comply. And then the last page gives you an idea of what suggested changes might be if we needed to or wanted to make changes based upon the pay equity report. I'm going to give my little brief review too. This was a statute that was adopted in 1984. We are the only state in the entire country that has this, so it's unique to Minnesota only. Okay. With that, it's again my opinion that we do comply. It is required that the City Council review and approve, so I would ask for consideration of approval of the pay equity report as presented.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the equity report as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Gary, comments? Anything?
No.
Okay. Rebecca? No. Gary?
No.
Michael?
None.
All those in favor of approving the pay equity compliance report for 2019, please say aye.
Aye.
The report is approved. Administrator and staff reports. The discussion on the agreement with the Department of Minnesota Natural Resources for aquatic invasive inspections. Several years ago, or actually 3 years ago, we entered into an agreement with the county and to allow the Pelican Lake Association to do the monitoring of the funds, or the monitoring of the invasive species requirements at the boat landings. And it was supposed to be a relatively simple project, but it has been a little bit more complicated than we had initially figured. The issue has to do, it's kind of a bureaucratic issue where the funds have to be a pass-through a government agency, and we said we would be that agency to allow the Pelican Lake Association to use their members to do the inspections as opposed to the county getting people through a temp agency. Patrick, do you want to fill in some of the items where it wasn't quite as simple as we had figured?
Sure. And I included in your packet the brief history of what was looked at 3 years ago when that delegation agreement runs out as of December 31st of last year. Some of the process, I identified that it was promoted as being as simple as we receive a check and then each week we just write out a check. Initially, even upon my review, I was asked to hold a meeting with the DNR, the PLC, the owners of the decontamination center to help set, there were some problems with the inspections and reviews. There was constant organization for getting our identified inspectors trained, even though they were the PLCs. Constant emails about this from the state telling us that we weren't turning in our reports appropriately, which then meant I had to contact the
PLA,
thank you, Pelican Lake Association, not the C, and about why they weren't able to do that. It took several months. Carrie did some actual help with some of the staff in helping set up that program. Eventually, by the end of 2018, the association was able to figure out how to read the reports, and the decontamination unit was just not used near as much as we had all hoped for and anticipated. Starting with this year, there were numerous emails, again, with training and getting everyone set up, and a number of people trained and set up, monitoring. And we also had a problem in 2018 with the amount of hours that were used weren't allowed, and so we actually got, the city was identified as the one not being following the rules, even though we weren't even involved in the actual spending and organization of the inspectors. And so all hours for decontamination in 2019 were not funded. And so that resulted in less funding. And then when the end of the year report came, there was problems with managing it and what the private company was using. It just hasn't been as simple as what I'm trying to express. And I know I work with Tom Moore on a week-to-week basis on this one. Sort of when he has his office hours is when he gets an update on it. So we kind of kept in touch on that situation. So with that in mind, staff's not recommending approval of this. Inspections will still be able to be done through Crow Wing County. And so if the inspectors that are working for the Pelican Lake Association want to go through and work for the county, they can definitely do that.
Right. And to echo what Patrick was saying, we've been talking about this. It has not been a real simple, straightforward thing. And so our decision basically was, in talking with Patrick, we decided that we would recommend not continuing on with the program because it's just not working as simply as they had originally thought. And it'll still work, but it'll, instead of us being the middleman, we'll be on the outside looking in. And we'll let the system work. It seems to be working at the other lakes. It's just, I guess, having the complexity of us being the middleman for Pelican. It just seems to be a little bit awkward.
The one thing I should also clarify is that I did notify the Pelican Lake Association after the council report packet went out. So I didn't want to, the timing of who was first type situation. You should be first as the employer, and then we notified them.
Right.
And so they are aware of it, and I haven't, they was a little bit surprised by that, but not completely.
Yes, I did talk with Susan Coring, and I think that was a good analysis. She was a little bit surprised on the timing. However, the decision was made, and we didn't. The decision was made. We didn't have a chance to get it in and finalized for the December meeting, but so it is here now. So I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question of
Yes.
your staff first? What benefit did this program have that we were wanting to be involved? You say that it can be continued to be done now with the county. We just adopted a new comp plan that says maintain beautiful waters. I just want to know, what benefit did we serve its purpose before? And I understand that there's complications, but why were we involved in the first place?
We were involved with the first place in that money was coming from the state through the county to do inspections at the boat landings to minimize the spread of invasive species. And it was a hot topic back 3 years ago. It still is a hot topic. And the Pelican Lake Association wanted to use their own members as inspectors. And in order for them to do that, the money had to be funneled through a government agency.
Okay.
And we essentially volunteered to be the government agency because it was proposed to us that it would be a very simple process. We'd get the money here, we hand it out there. Well, it didn't really turn out as Patrick said, that when questions came up, they called us, okay? And it was a lot more complicated, and we didn't take any administrative fees for this. It was just a straight pass-through for us. So
just to recap, though, the primary benefit was that the Pelican Lakes Association could use their own members for the inspections.
That is correct.
That was really the bulk of the benefit.
Yep. That was it.
That was my only question.
Yep. So I will entertain a motion to end the
Actually, you wouldn't take a negative motion, it would just be a simple motion to not take any action.
I was going to say, essentially, it's expired, and so we don't really have to have a motion to let it expire, it's already done. So so no motion required, it's just informing everybody that we'll not be continuing the program.
Yep, I can work with that.
Yep, okay. Next item is adopt the LESO participation. This is Resolution 06-2020, and the LESO, scroll down here. The law enforcement mutual, whoops. One too far. The resolution to participate in the surplus equipment program, also known as LESO. It is a program where the police can purchase military surplus equipment that they have use for. And in the past, items that have been purchased so that we would benefit for their use. And we were recently audited and advised that we should have written permission from the governing body to participate in this program. And so this resolution will allow the police force to participate and purchase items. So I'll
make that motion.
Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 06-2020. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Gary, we'll start with you again. Anything?
It was. None.
None. Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
I have none.
Okay.
It's a
Michael?
great program to be part of, and glad we're doing it.
Kevin, what things have we purchased through this in the past?
To clarify, we don't purchase. Taxpayer purchases them federally.
Yes.
And we get them from the federal government free. Scopes for rifles, actual rifles before it became commonplace for law enforcement to carry long guns. We obtained Vietnam era M16s. We still have them. Okay. Trying to give them back. But a lot of items that saves obviously the city taxpayer. Currently, we actually have 5 12-lead monitors that the medics use. They're $30,000 a piece. So.
Okay. So maybe I was misunderstanding. We don't buy the
No, we
equipment.
don't buy it. It's
It's
my-
made available
my
to
memo
us.
is purchased by taxpayers.
Right.
At the federal level, when they go out, like the heart monitors, they'll buy hundreds of those things and distribute them, and then they wind up with a few that nobody gets, they don't get used. They're still a new, brand new box. And so that's how we wound up with those.
Okay. So, okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Question, if I may, of the chief? You mentioned long guns. That's, and then you may be, this may be classified, I have no idea, but is the M16, is that your long gun? That's the only long gun you have as a police agency?
No, we have shotguns also, but most of those are used in a less than lethal.
Of course, yeah, in short range. But you're trying to give them back, you say?
Yeah, well, we've purchased a different AR-15 platform.
That's all I need to know. I was wondering, no long guns, what do we know?
Yeah, no, we still have them, it's just
All I need to know, all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 06, 2020. I think we already got that.
We did.
And you seconded?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion is approved. Where am I? Okay, next item is adopt a mutual aid joint powers agreement with the county. This is, I think it's basically, we have a new sheriff in town and he wants to dot all the i's and cross all the t's. And so we have this formal joint powers mutual aid agreement. And this is under Resolution 06, 2020. Not going to go into all the details on it, but essentially it gives authorization for us to give aid to other departments within the county. So I'll entertain a motion to...
06 was the LISO, so we don't have a resolution for this, it's just an agreement.
Did I get confused? I certainly did. Okay, so a motion to approve the joint powers agreement for the emergency mutual aid.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Michael, start with you this time. Anything?
Nothing further.
Gary?
Well, I was wondering, a lot of times I was see the Nisswa Police Department car come around, and do we have an agreement with like Nisswa to work between the two? I mean, do our police officers go through their areas as well? And
Yeah, this is actually not just with the county, it's the county and all the cities. A complete mutual agreement between
It's a mutual aid pact,
Yeah.
simply.
Includes all the cities.
Yeah.
We actually have one that includes all of northeast Minnesota as well. There's,
so that authorizes our patrolman to issue, for instance, a ticket in a different city or area if for some reason they were there and witnessed, something that need to be taken care of.
no, this is more or less covering, like, if there's a workers' comp injury when they're over there helping, or somebody crashes a car,
Okay.
that kind of thing. State statute actually addresses that kind of thing. If I'm on duty and I'm operating within normal parameters of my duty, and I witness something, it could be in St. Cloud, I could write a ticket for it.
Okay.
On page 114 and 115 of your packet, you will find the list of cities that would all be part of this pact. Michael, anything?
Nope, you were going that way though. You have to ask them. You already asked me, you went to Gary.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way? I thought I started
You
with...
started over there this time.
You started with
Oh,
Mike.
okay. I started with Gary.
Nope, not this one.
Oh, okay. Rebecca, anything?
I don't have any.
Okay, Gary.
I give nothing.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the joint powers agreement, the Crow Wing County Joint Powers Agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The agreement is agreed to. Okay. Next item is to adopt the revised drug and alcohol testing policy for commercial drivers. This is something that has been on the books for a while, and it needs to be updated. So the changes conform essentially to a League of Minnesota Cities sample policy. And it outlines what needs to be done specifically for what type of issue comes up. Patrick, do you want to say anything on this as far as, it's pretty straightforward.
Changes a clearinghouse. There's always been on the books since 1995, rules and regulations about hiring new employees and receiving background information on their CDL licensure.
Okay.
That has always been lagging in private and public sector. The federal government has decided we will no longer lag and we will have to comply.
Okay. So this is coming downhill. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the revised drug and alcohol testing policy.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gary, this time I'll start with you.
No questions.
Rebecca, anything?
Yeah, and I might be missing where this is, but it just says that drivers and applicants are required to review the policy and sign the certificate of receipt portion. Is that in the packet?
There's forms that have to be created that we've got from the.
That go with this?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will be creating forms and stuff to be.
We'll just be grabbing the forms that are already out there, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just referring to something that's not
Hmm.
here,
Okay.
right here. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
Gary, anything?
No.
Michael?
None.
All those in favor of approving the revised drug and alcohol testing policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Policy is approved. Next item is approval of purchases. We have a number of items that some have been budgeted for, some have not been budgeted. Got to catch up here. The first item is a new jetter. The old jetter was originally purchased in 2004. It's got over 650 hours on it. It is approaching the end of life, and we could be looking at maintenance costs increasing on it. So Joe has budgeted for a new one for this year, and what we have is he's done the research and found one, improved one for $76,858, and going through it. Joe, would you like to fill in anything that may be missing on here? I think the memo was pretty much self-explanatory, but if you want to add anything to it.
The only thing I would add is a preliminary CIP policy for Public Works that we started last winter. The jetter was identified, and it was identified at a 15-year interval, and I think this would make it 16. So I think it's appropriate time and the right thing to do to avoid those maintenance costs that we can put towards a new machine.
And I understand it's a much better machine, be a lot easier to use, correct?
Yes, absolutely. It should help quite a bit when we're trying to feed the hose back on the reel. Right now it's manual, which can be very difficult, and pinch your fingers, that sort of thing. So that alone will be a great feature.
I will entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the new hydraulic sewer line cleaner for $76,000.
So moved.
Second motion. Michael, anything?
Joe, just for clarification, the purchase price is $76,800 some. That does not include the minimum trade-in value of the $8,000, correct? So there's an actual purchase price. We're gonna go for sealed bid, but if we don't get anything above 8,000, then the purchase price is technically 68,800,
Correct,
and we budgeted 80.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yep, okay. Gary, anything?
None.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No, sir.
All those in favor of purchasing the new hydraulic sewer line cleaner for $76,858.50, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The purchase is approved. Next item is a snow blower, and I think this year we've got some snow to blow, to put it mildly. And in the past, we used to be able to buy or to rent a snow blower that would attach to the Bobcat, and now that is no longer possible. We would have to rent the snow blower and the Bobcat for a much higher price. And so what we want to do here is purchase our own snow blower. We definitely will have use for it because of clearing sidewalks and a bunch of other areas, especially this year. It seems like we have so much more snow to use, to work with. So I think it has not been budgeted, but we do have the funds available for this. Joe, you want to add anything to that, or?
You pretty much hit it right on. We have been renting, and it just seems the use and the time it saves us and the better service residents get. I think this will be well worth having.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the Bobcat SB 200 snow blower attachment for $4,151.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. She beat me.
Gary, anything?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary, anything?
Yes, Joe, what is this mount on?
This particular one will mount on our Toolcat, which is a newer piece of equipment. Big reason for that is the Toolcat has a 18-mile-an-hour road speed, so we don't have to trailer. We'll be able to make a route and then drive, just do things more efficiently. Has sufficient power to run one. We've demoed a snow blower on that machine, and it's worked pretty well. So
Yeah, I was going to say, we tried it out and used it, and it worked great, from what I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, anything?
For the current rental of $500 a day, 4 days, it's paid for it, so.
Right.
Makes sense.
Good deal.
Makes sense. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approve the motion, or the motion is approved to purchase the Bobcat snow blower. Next item is to replace the floor tile in City Hall. The floor tile over here in the kitchen area and in the bathrooms is pretty well shot. Its original floor tile needs to be replaced. And we have been trying to get quotes from various people. And we finally do have one from Becker Cross Lake Flooring. Is this the only quote we got?
No, we had a second quote, this was the low quote.
This was the low quote, okay. So it's for $11,550 is what you have, because you had some things crossed out?
That's correct, we're gonna eliminate a variety of little work that our crew could take care of, and then additionally, we're gonna have new underlayment installed.
Okay.
That'll fix some of the problems.
Okay.
But the little bit total is $11,550.
I'll entertain a motion to replace the tile in City Hall with Becker Flooring.
So moved.
Becker Flooring in Cross Lake. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Gary, anything?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No.
Michael?
No.
All those in favor of replacing the tile in City Hall with, from the quote of Becker Cross Lake Flooring. Please say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is approved. The next item is the, we've been talking about dynamic sign for out in front of City Hall. We've received some quotes, and we do have some pictures. We have specified a location right out in front. It's underneath, you can't see it right now because it's underneath about 25 feet of snow. But we will put the snow someplace else when we have this sign up there.
Nice.
Patrick, have we actually decided on which options we want for the sign?
I think I got a little ahead of myself in the cover memo when I said
Okay.
we would look for action. I think the goal is to make, because you and I talked about it.
Right.
But the whole council hasn't, so we want to talk about it, and then it's also had Project Creek. Which also.
Oh, yeah,
costs have gone up
that's
more
always,
than budgeting.
that's always very true.
So, but we're gonna bring electricity, so first of all, you've got a picture where the sign would be located. And then some options of what the sign could look like. Option 2 is a smaller, what we call dynamic sign, and that keeps us at the $20,000 or $18,000 type cost. We have to bring electricity to that site, there is none over there. Then also, with what's drawn there, we're looking at about $17,000 for wooden structure and a rock base and foundation there. So if the council likes what they're seeing, this is the price range I'm looking at, and I would finalize the bids. And
Okay.
I did just get a second rock contractor to contact me today and sent him the plans and specs. He apologized, he was out of town for the last couple of months.
Okay.
Months, but
Yeah, so basically, to break this down, because Patrick and I have been talking about this kind of on a weekly basis here for quite a while. And I'm not sure if everybody has seen these pictures before or not. I think they were distributed. Okay, so, okay. So what you have here is the first, option 1 and option 2, has the sign, a larger sign, which is option 1, and a smaller sign, option 2, sitting on a rock base. And I'll just say, I'll call that one option A for with the rock base. And then when you go to the next option 3 and option 4, this is option B, the wooden base. So at this point, I would like to poll the council and see which one that they desire for an option, either the option A or option B. And I'll start with you, Gary. Option A or option B? It's
Number 1, option 1, I like it, the big one. That's it. It's the only one. The rest of them are too puny.
Oh, okay.
Pardon my French.
Okay. Rebecca, anything?
I agree with Gary, so
Thank you
I
very
like
much.
option 1.
Okay.
Oh,
I know you
without a
said
doubt.
A or B, but.
Well, right now I'm just basically looking at rock base versus wooden base, okay? Because when we get to option 1 and option 2, that has a significant cost and,
I understand that.
with the higher pixel rating on the sign.
Completely.
Okay? So basically, you're jumping ahead to what I'm asking for, and you're saying option 1, you want the big sign and the rock base.
Yes, sir, I think it fits, it's much more fitting than any of those others. Much more fitting.
You know that's going to cost more money.
I don't care.
Okay. Okay.
If you want a donation, I'll give you one.
Oh, write that down.
Let me know.
Okay, Rebecca.
Yes,
it sounds like you're pretty much on the same
I am.
page as
Yes,
Gary.
I think this will be a long-term sign, so I think it
smart,
would
there's
be
no
worth
question.
This
the
has
investment,
been
I
has
guess.
been kicked around for a long time. Gary, anything?
Was that $10,000 for the rock base?
yes, for the smaller rock base.
Okay, and how much more for the larger rock base?
What difference does that make?
I didn't get that far, but I'm gonna estimate it'll be another $2,000.
Yeah.
No.
And the sign is lighted?
It's a dynamic
It's a
sign.
dynamic sign.
It's actually very similar to the one that Mr. Narveson has, because that's one of the people we worked with.
It's a nice sign he's got.
The sign itself, it just depends on the width and the total square footage, and so it'll be another couple, the sign will also be another couple thousand.
Okay, I would go with A.
A was the rock base.
A was the rock base and the larger sign.
Okay, so
Thank
you'd be going with option one.
Option one.
Okay. And Michael? And I know this has been your baby for a long time.
You know what though? Now that it's in front of us, I have some things, but right now you're asking between rock or the log. I
Rock.
do like the rock.
You like the rock?
I do.
Okay.
I think it also potentially, if done right, can offer a little bit more stability and safety if anybody were to run into it.
Yes.
That was my first forethought.
Like they do the entrance to the resort.
Right, it offers a little bit in case somebody were to go off the road. We've seen people go off the roads on Connor Road and here.
So they won't hit the.
Somebody hits that with a car, it's gonna knock it down.
Yep.
Won't hit the
Or wind up in
Busy.
some of these.
So I do like the
That's
rock.
right.
Okay. So tell me your opinion on everybody else is voicing an opinion on the sign itself.
Oh, of course, bigger is better.
Bigger's better.
Bigger is better.
There you go.
You know, but I know we've talked about it, about the potential of this coming, and it finally hit the pack of saying, hey, this is something coming, and I kind of put the brakes on. And I thought to myself, what we need to do before we start going down this path is distinguish what are we going to be putting on the sign. You know, let's come up with a number of things that we know for sure that from the city aspect we're going to put on there. What are we going to let from the public putting on there? What constitutes as a community event? Aviation days? Is Ice Fest something? Is an event that the commander is going to put on that the community could be involved, but it's a moneymaker for them? Where do we draw the lines that there's profit to be made by an entity and it's a community event? I think these are some stipulations that we need to define ourselves so we know what we're going to allow to be put on the sign. And if we're not going to allow other community events that could be potentially for profit, what are the limitations that we're going to be put on there? So I think we really need to take a step back and just go, okay, what can we put? And I know there's a number of things, butterfly release days, you know, advertising the council meetings. I know there's a number of things, but I think we need to do justice and put it down on paper to say all those items that are going to be on there and come up with the ordinance of who can put on there and what the stipulations are. I think those are things that we really need to focus on coming up with before, I would say, put some dollars to it and put it forward. I love the idea. I think there's going to be some great use out of it. I think we need to do due diligence in putting it forward.
Well, I think we have to have really good resolution because I was proposing that we put the pictures of all our council members on there.
Right. And if I kick in any money, I want my name upper right-hand corner in brass.
Absolutely.
Well, if we're gonna advertise for outside entities other than the city itself, then there has to be a way to
And I was about to say,
charge for them.
Patrick and I have discussed this a little bit on our, on Wednesdays, as far as what we would be putting on there. Primarily, at least right now, it would be text, for city council meetings, planning and zoning meetings, etc. And crossing that line into the commercial aspect, that is a possibility, but we would definitely have to have something that would give us guidelines on it. Initial responses, we wouldn't be doing, commercial advertising on the sign, but that is always a possibility down the road. So,
If I may.
yes.
When we looked at creating the size of the sign, we also then, that's where we did an exercise for a couple of weeks, just put together 3 pages of what we thought we might put on there. Butterfly event at a certain time, at a certain day, different city events, and it really was just concentrating on city events and text. You see a lot of pictures on some of the other things. We're not selling a 6-pack of beer. We're not selling food here type situation. We were selling events and information is what we're on there. That's why we were able to keep it to the smaller one, but the larger one will allow us to put a little bit more text in there and still see quality.
And that
One of the
was
things we worked at too was the speed of our road along here is down to 40 here versus some of the other areas. We're like at the bank, they're at 55 up there. So.
yeah. That was the other thing is I know you for dynamic sign in the memo here it says that as an example, the commander is a 16 mm multi-million. I'm guessing. I don't know what we're looking at. It gave an example, but it didn't say we're looking at a 16 as
And that's
well.
why I wasn't proposing the actual quotes here.
And the 16 is the smaller or the larger of the
It's just the quality.
quality?
So now
Still at the
the
quality.
16
Mhm.
millions. Now, they tell me that our 16 mm is the same as the Commander's, but because it's newer technology, it's better. But
Of course.
it will be. And we should also know, there is a life expectancy, just like these are light bulbs, even though they're LEDs, I think it's 20 years if I recall correctly. And you see a reduction in brightness in the first 18 months of about 20 to 25%. And then after that, it's much smaller reductions as you go forward. So we will, as we talk about capital equipment plan, have to plan for replacing this.
So bigger is better.
No, just the
It's two
opposite.
sides,
No,
so you have one
not the
side
Norwegian.
And two, so we're really talking about two specific signs.
Yeah.
I think it would help as we progress too, is when we start talking about the dimensions, is to compare if you know, I know the Commander and the Banker are some closer ones, but if they can give us other examples in the Brainerd Lakes area. So as we drive by them and say, oh, this one's going to be the same size as the larger one, but this other sign is going to be the smaller version that you are considering. So we can drive by and get that visual example of what the differences are.
He can give me that almost immediately because we're talking about that. I will get that to you guys ahead of time rather than the week before the council meeting.
So the bottom line is, I think the consensus pretty much is that the council would like to see option one, in other words, the larger sign with the rock base.
Yes.
That's a true fact.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the direction that we will be going and getting firmer quotes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good.
Then we're gonna have a sign out there this summer. Maybe. Okay, next item is
Oh, yeah.
computer server. The computer server that we have is at the end of life. And so and also is going to, Microsoft is no longer going to be supporting that server from software standpoint. And so we do need to replace these. And the Sourcewell has, our IT people at Sourcewell has recommended a replacement, which I'm not going to get into with all the part numbers and stuff like that, only Michael would understand it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the new equipment and licensing for the amount of $7,790.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Michael, since you know the most about it, I'll start with you.
I don't know the most, but I know the people that know the most.
There you go.
Besides moving to a cloud migration, they said, yes, this looks like a great investment.
Okay, Gary, anything?
And it's strictly Microsoft. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe,
Yes.
the answer is yes.
Okay, so something like Apple or something along other lines would not work with us?
No.
Okay.
I was going to say, everything else we have here is Microsoft, so putting in an Apple server
Right.
would not do us well.
Okay, I'm okay
Becca?
with it.
I don't have anything.
Gary?
Not a thing.
You're the most computer literate person or needy person in one of the
I'm laying the weeds.
They know it by the way it works.
Is this touching the police servers? This is a completely separate, or is this?
This is the server.
This is the
We are
server.
on the server.
Same thing,
Okay.
same one, right? Yep.
So
two. There's all sorts
compliances
of,
are all going to be followed. And
yes,
Perfect.
there's all sorts of bells and whistles that have to be in place for it to handle that.
It meets the needs as a police department as well.
Yes. Okay, so we have the motion and second. All those in favor of purchasing the new server for $7,790, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The purchase is approved too. Next item is 2020 squad car. Evidently, we have this budgeted and our order got canceled, and so we're resubmitting the order for a, this is a Ford?
Nope, that's different.
This is different,
We
okay.
did that once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're ordering another one.
Oh, okay,
We are still waiting for the first one.
okay. Why don't you, maybe I'm misunderstanding it then.
So you go ahead if you want to.
Yeah, we ordered early to try beat the 2020 remake
Okay.
That order got canceled.
We ordered it in the end of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ordered it
Or
2019.
For the 2019 vehicle.
Yeah.
2019 model. That order got canceled. We reordered in early 2018 actually, and or excuse me, 2019, and we're still waiting on that one. As far as retooling,
Okay.
it's been delayed, but we do need to get another one on order. Fortunately, we haven't had anything totaled. There are a lot of jurisdictions out there that are hurting for squad. We need to get on the list again.
Okay. And the basic reason for this is we try and replace one every basically once a year.
We buy one a year and then they
6 years.
They rotate one out.
6-year cycle. Okay. So entertain a motion to approve the ordering of the 2020 Explorer SUV.
So moved.
Second.
Michael, anything?
No, nothing.
Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
None.
The motion to approve the ordering of the 2020 Explorer is approved. And that completes our agenda items.
I don't think you actually took the motion, sir. You actually had everyone comment, but you didn't take the vote, I'm sorry.
You're right. My goodness.
Got him again.
Okay, technical. Okay. All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
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 Okay. Now we're the,
One brief query, if I may, before we
okay.
close. Am I understanding correctly that that one fell swoop motion established a citizen year of
Yes,
the
it
year?
did.
I
Yes.
just want to confirm that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would just add, we do have our two representatives here that don't come to every meeting, so maybe we'd like to have them give an update or comment.
Oh, okay. Tim, do you have anything that you would like to say as a city engineer?
Good evening. Happy New Year. Looking ahead in the new year, probably the next meeting, we'll start to lay out a timeline for the Ossawinamakee, Graph, Sunset Strip project bidding that the county will be undertaking on behalf of the city as part of their other projects. So in the next couple months, you'll start to see some scheduling for final assessment hearings and whatnot.
Okay.
That's
Looking
all.
forward to that. Jerry, do you have anything?
I think I've been working for the city for about 10 years now, and this is the first time I've really been at a city council meeting.
I was
It's just very interesting.
I was going to say something about that, but I didn't.
Well, I had to make that comment because Councilmember Bakken was kind of needling me earlier this evening.
Yes, I was.
Actually, from my perspective, I think it's pretty much status quo in where we're going. We've had a pretty huge growth year.
I was just going to say.
I think I did put together some totals that should be in the Breezy Brief this week. I think there's about $13 million worth of new construction just in homes alone. In there, so we continue to grow. We're not growing at an unacceptable rate either. I think we're growing at a pace that's manageable. I think that's probably a good thing to do. We are going to be working with the two new planning commission members. I'm meeting with them on Wednesday to give them a little bit of a cursor. We will send them to some training down the line if they choose to go. I think we're probably, I don't know how much we're going to get involved. We may get involved this coming year with the census. Looking forward to that. I don't think anybody really knows the total answer about how it's going to work and where it's going to go, but I'm sure there's going to be some assistance from the city as far as showing people places and those type of things. Other than that, it's been a pleasure to work for you.
Pleasure working with you too, Jerry. The next meeting is February 3rd, 7 o'clock at right here. The Planning Commission does meet at January 14th, at which time they will be swearing in the 2 new commission members. So looking forward to that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make that meeting, but I would like to publicly thank both Larry Neer and Peggy Schmidt for their service in these last several years. So, thank you much. Meeting's adjourned.